If you are following trends, sharing valuable tips, posting educational content, and still wondering why your account is not growing the way it used to, this video is for you because two of the most common content strategies from the last 5 years are becoming significantly less effective. The first is copycat content, and the second is generic educational content. Now, I'm not saying that trends no longer get views, and I'm definitely not saying that you should stop educating your audience. What I am saying is that replaceable content is dying. Content that could have been created by anyone, content that repeats the exact same information as hundreds of other posts, content that just recreates a trend but gives the viewer no real reason to remember you, and content that answers a question that someone could just type into ChatGPT and receive a personalized response to within seconds. And if you're new here, we are Giselle and Steven, also known as the Lover's Passport, and we are the creators of the Creator Passport. We've grown an audience of over 2 million followers across platforms, posted consistently for more than 1,600 days, built multiple 7-figure businesses, and now we've helped over 1,500 creators improve their content, growth, and monetization strategies. Over the last several years, we have watched the type of content that grows accounts change pretty dramatically. In this video, I'm going to be explaining why copying trends is no longer a complete growth strategy, why artificial intelligence is changing educational content, and the 4 things you need to start including in your content if you want people to follow you instead of simply consuming one of your posts and then leaving. So let's start with copying content. Back in 2020 and 2021, trends were one of the biggest growth drivers of growth. TikTok was exploding, Instagram Reels were still relatively new, and short form video itself felt new to a lot of people. There was less competition. Audiences had not already seen every format thousands of times, and simply participating in a trend could introduce you to an enormous number of new viewers. You could hear a trending audio, recreate the format for your niche, post it, and potentially receive hundreds, if not thousands, and even millions of views. And we participated in trends too. There was nothing inherently wrong with using trends. They were an incredibly effective discovery tool. But today, everybody has access to the same trends. Everyone can see which videos are performing well, and everyone has access to the same trending audios, templates, editing apps, AI tools, hook generators, and inspiration pages. The barrier to recreating content has become almost non-existent. So merely recreating something is no longer enough to make you memorable. Can copying a trend still get you views? Absolutely. But getting views and building an audience are not always the same thing. Trends give you borrowed attention. Your story, opinions, and personality and ideas create owned attention almost. Borrowed attention means someone watched because they recognize the sound, challenge the format, or the trend that you're doing. Owned attention means someone watched because they recognized you. And that is the difference between having a viral post and building an actual brand. A viral trend might bring someone onto your page, but when the person gets there, what are they going to find? More versions of other people's ideas, more trends that have already been seen, or will they immediately understand who you are, what you believe, and what type of content you create and why they should follow you? Here is one of the easiest ways to determine whether you are building a recognizable brand. I want you to imagine that your username disappeared from the video. Would someone who already follows you still know that it came from your account? You should understand why someone clicked and why they continued watching. But there is a major difference between studying the structure of successful creators and copying the substance of someone else's work. You can borrow the question, but you should not copy their exact answer, because copying another creator word for word might occasionally produce a successful post, but it gives the audience absolutely no reason to follow you. Copycat trends are only one side of the shift. The other major change is happening with educational content. For years, creators were told the best way to grow was to provide value. We said that too. Give people 3 tips, teach them 5 mistakes to avoid, create a step-by-step tutorial, build the perfect itinerary, answer all the most common questions in your niche, and that advice worked. Information was valuable because it was much harder to find, organize, and just understand. But information is no longer scarce. Imagine that someone is planning a 2-week trip to Italy, for instance. A few years ago, they might have searched YouTube, watched a couple travel guides, opened 20 different blog posts, read Reddit threads, and slowly pieced together like the perfect itinerary. You had to do a lot of research though. Today, they can just open up ChatGPT and ask for a 2-week itinerary. They can include their exact budget, their travel dates, how quickly they like to travel, whether they want to use trains or rent a car, the types of hotels they prefer, all of their dietary restrictions, and within seconds, they can receive an answer that is organized specifically for them. That does not mean there is no longer a place for travel creators. We're still travel creators, but it does mean that generic videos called the perfect 2-week Italy itinerary now has far more competition than it did a few years ago. You are no longer only competing against other creators, you're literally competing against Google, YouTube, Reddit, thousands of articles, and AI's ability to organize all of that information into one immediate answer. The exact same thing is happening in the creator education industry. Someone can ask AI for 50 Instagram hooks. They can ask for a 30-day content calendar. They can ask how to pitch a hotel. They can ask for a list of brand deal negotiation tips or scripts or captions, emails, content strategy. So why would they spend 10 or 15 minutes watching this YouTube video? That is the question every educational creator now needs to answer. You need to give your audience something that information alone cannot provide. AI can tell someone which places to visit in Italy, but it cannot recreate the feeling you had when you arrived somewhere at sunrise and realized it was completely different than what you expected. Of course, AI can summarize common Instagram advice, but it cannot recreate the experience of posting for 9 months without a strategy, finally discovering what worked and seeing your account begin to grow. Your advantage is how you experience those facts, your judgment, your different tastes, your opinions, the mistakes you've made, the proof that you have, your own personality, and your ability to turn all of that into a story people care about. For instance, compare these 2 YouTube ideas. The first is the perfect 3-day Italy itinerary. The second one is we spent 14 days traveling through Italy, and these 3 experiences completely changed how we travel. Both can include recommendations, locations, and practical tips, but the second idea gives the information context. It tells me something happened. It makes me curious about what those experiences were and why they mattered. The second part is your stance or your opinion. What do you actually believe? One of the biggest problems with copycat education is that everyone starts sounding the same. Use this hook, post consistently, provide value, find your niche, just be authentic. Like, none of those ideas are necessarily wrong, but they have been repeated so many times that they no longer mean something without an actual opinion behind them. Tell us what you believe that other people in your industry might disagree with. A stance and an opinion makes your content identifiable. It helps people understand what you stand for, and you do not have to create fake controversy or say something ridiculous just to receive comments. You simply need to stop removing your real opinion from your content. The third part is being specific. Generic advice is replaceable. Specific proof is much harder to replace. Not only say that consistency is important, for instance, explain that you posted for more than 1,500 consecutive days and share what you taught like we have. We've posted for almost 5 years every day now. We're not only saying like a certain hook performs well, we're showing posts and showing the numbers and retention and why. That's why people are going to believe the result, right? We're not only like recommending a hotel, we're explaining which room we stayed in, what we paid for it, what surprised us about it, who the property is best for, couples, solo people, travelers, and families. Specificity creates authority, and it shows that you're not just simply repeating something you read, you've actually experienced it. And the fourth part is creating a series. Why should someone return? This is where signature content becomes incredibly important. A signature series is basically like a reoccurring format or a journey or a question or a promise that your audience starts associating with you. Maybe you visit popular destinations and decide whether they are actually worth the hype. Maybe you test viral travel itineraries and show what they are really like. Maybe you document yourself growing an account from zero. The individual episode changes, but the promise stays consistent across the board. The first time someone sees the series, they understand the idea. The second time, they start to recognize it, and eventually they start anticipating the next episode. And if you want to learn how to develop a signature series for your own account, we actually already have an entire video breaking down the process. We'll go ahead and link it right over here for you as well. And this does not mean that you should never use another trend. Trends are still useful. We have the viral content vault for a reason. We still post trends all the time. They can expose you to a brand new audience. Trends should support your brand. They should not become your entire brand. The same thing is true for educational content. Continue teaching and answering the questions in your comments and helping your audience solve problems, but stop believing the information alone is enough to take you to the next level. Show us where the lessons came from. Give us the mistakes before the solution. Share what you originally believed and maybe why you changed your mind. Show the test and the proof and the messy process behind the polished result. That is the part people cannot get from a generic AI response. Before you create your next post, I want you to ask yourself those 4 questions we went over. Could another creator in my niche make the exact same post? Number 2, could someone receive essentially the same answer by just typing some question into AI? Number 3, what part of my content could only come from me? And number 4, does this give someone else a reason to return for another post? The next time you prepare to post something, do not only ask, is this valuable? Ask, why should this content come from me? Because in this next era of content creation, that might be the most important question you can answer. So let us know in the comments, what is one part of your experience, personality, perspective that you want to start including more of and in your content? And if you want more practical strategies to help grow your audience, monetize your content, make sure you subscribe to the Creator Passport. We post a new video like this every single week, and YouTube thinks you're gonna like this video right over here. So with that, we'll see you in the next one.